the Denver Nuggets, which I thought would be one of the bigger contenders for the Lakers specifically, firing their coach, their championship coach. What is your thought on that?
Crazy, bro. I think Nico Harrison opened like Pandora's box, bro. He's no, bro. Once he traded Luca, I think it opened the floodgates for anything can happen. Nobody's I think we alluded to this back then. We're like, yo, nobody's safe anymore, bro. And like, especially coaches have always been disposable. But like, for them to get fired a few games before the playoffs, when your team is a top four seed, has home court advantage at least in the first round, like, like that, bro, that doesn't make any sense. That's the
Yeah.
crazy part. If Denver wasn't in the playoffs, or even if they were a playing team,
Even
I'd still say like try it, you know.
yeah.
But like
Remember where they came from earlier this season? They were sitting like playing.
they're playing, yeah, they were in a playing, they were in a playing thing. They were in a playing. So for them to do that again, obviously we're not in the background, so we don't know what's really going on. But I don't know. Like this doesn't make any sense. I don't know what they anticipate to happen this season. I heard based on like reporters and stuff, they're saying that they got rid of him because just in case the Denver Nuggets did do a deep playoff run or win the championship, then they kind of didn't. There would be no grounds to dismiss him, so they did it now.
Oh,
But it's like, bruh, you could still do a deep playoff run. Yo, you could still make it to the finals and not win and still fire him.
yeah,
Because then you could just be like, yo, you guys didn't win the championship. And I don't think a lot of people would get upset at that, right?
yeah,
But you're doing this a couple games before. Jokic is the best player in the whole entire NBA in the world, and you're doing this.
yeah,
Now, yo, the question I have now, did Jokic want this to happen now?
yeah,
That's the next thing because we all know that, like, especially when you have the best player in the world, like you're not changing coaches without running through him. And I think Jokic alluded to that. Like, yeah, we talked about it. I listened to the reasoning and I accepted the decision. But if that means if he didn't accept the decision, maybe Mike Malone might still be here.
yeah.
So I don't know, bro. I don't know what you're thinking, but I don't like I hate when coaches sometimes are used as scapegoats, especially a coach like Mike Malone, one of the best coaches in Denver Nuggets history.
Yeah,
Um, won their only championship. Has coached like Jokic. I know Jokic is the player and he puts up the points, rebounds, and assists and everything and stuff. But like he was the coach of that. And you
yeah.
got rid of him before the playoffs.
You know
Hey,
what? I'm
I'm not an
really
expert.
just yeah, I hear you. I'm really just digesting this all right now. Like I haven't really
Totally.
had time to sit down in a chair and think
Just think
about
about
it,
it.
but I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it right now, and I see both sides right now because obviously, like it kind of says a lot when you fire your head coach, right? Of a championship roster that they had what three? So they won 2 years ago. Crazy.
Oh no.
So
Yeah. I'll just ad lib it.
so at the end of the day, like they know, like between Jokic and the head coach, they know what works because they made it work. They may have disagreements right now, but they could come together just like Phil Jackson and Kobe Bryant did in '09 and figure it out. Although they were kind of going different ways, um, and it's just one thing I would say though is that they didn't really replace him with a Doc Rivers, like what I mean, like they, I had to bring that up, but
Yeah.
they didn't. They cut the head off the chicken. Chicken runs around for a while, and if it already looked bleak to them with the head coach with the head on, maybe it gives them a little bit of an advantage. Not necessarily an advantage, but the same chance cutting the head off the chicken because it's still going to run wild, and it's going to end up where it may lay. And we already didn't really think that Denver is going to win the championship this year. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's not much lost. Maybe it takes what I think it did for them is took some toxic energy out of their locker room because the only reason why I could think that they would fire him is because it's causing tension, and they can't get rid of Jokic. So if it's causing tension and you're trying to give your best shot at this year, knowing that next year is not even a possibility, you may want to cut the head off the chicken right now. And at least
Even
if
right now.
the
Wow.
I mean, if he's bringing negativity to the locker room, because I don't know if you saw that video of him saying nobody wanted to watch the video and nobody
Yeah.
watched the footage, right?
Yeah.
Nobody really wants it. Like that may be the case, but nobody really wants to hear that. Nobody wants it to be spread out to the public.
I mean, what that usually happens when I guess when the players are not listening. Like if I'm not, if like yo, if I'm telling you something, you're not listening, and then I might go tell somebody else, and then maybe you might listen to them or something. That that's a sign of a team that's not listening. And that and like all I hear from you essentially is that is a bunch of sensitive players. Then I'm hearing a bunch of sensitivity and like these grown like yo, this is the one thing that bothers me about the NBA. These guys make millions of dollars and they're sensitive as hell.
But I think the sensitive one in this case is the head coach. Because why are you telling the broadcasters this? Why are you telling the media this? Tell that to a man in their face. Like if I tell you something I don't like about you, and I tell it to you, that's the best I can do. If I go tell it to a next man, I'm the emotional one. If anything,
Shit. Okay. Fine. Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how
So
I
yeah.
see it. Like you know
That
what I mean?
that no, that's fair. But I guess what I'm saying is like I guess a coach's job is to win games and win a championship. And if I'm the head coach and I'm in charge of getting this team to win a championship, and I'm trying to say, yo, you're not doing this. You need to do that. You not and whatever, and you're not listening to me. Like what else? Like what other avenues? Like this is my job. Like this is not just like a friendship or something. This is my job. I
Yeah.
have to bring this team to a championship. So I understand what you're saying. It is sensitive. Yeah, you're right. It is sensitive in the sense of like, yeah, you took an emotional approach. But then my question is, what other choices do you have? The trade
True.
deadline's done. We can't make any trades. It's not the off season where we can get rid of guys or guys we feel like are not doing their job. Like like the playoffs is in a week. Like I need to maybe light a fire underneath these guys. Maybe put a little bit of embarrassment. But that's what I'm trying to say. Like
Yeah.
like it shouldn't
Yeah.
have to get to a point
You're
where
right. You're right.
bro, it shouldn't have to get to a point where I have to talk to the media. Like
Because that's what people used to do. That's what they
you
used
guys
to
need to
do.
stop being sensitive. When I come to you and say, yo, you're not playing right or something, or you're not doing what you need to be doing, like take it in as like have some self awareness and go from there. But I'm not gonna dismiss what you're saying because at the end of the day, it is sensitive to as especially as a grown man to go on on the media and just blast out your team and stuff like that because that just lose trust. But I'm just saying what's his alternative? If there's an alternative, then I'll agree to it. But
I
I just
mean, they
didn't think he
used
had
to
an
do that
alternative.
back in the day. Like they used to hold people accountable through the media. They would say this and they say that. So I mean, that maybe is an old-fashioned approach that doesn't sit well with players nowadays. I don't know,
True,
but
that's true.
clearly something like of negative energy was happening where they just weren't glitching. They weren't get clicking together because that's the only thing I could think of. They were still doing okay, but it was all on the basis of Jokic and on his shoulders, right? So was it really great team basketball? No, not really. So you just have a really great player in Jokic, and some good players that want to show up sometimes, and but they don't want to focus on the details. They don't want to cross their T's. They don't want to dot their I's, and you can tell when that's not championship basketball. And I think that's what um, the coach came to realize, and he started getting a little bit more vocal about it, and just didn't really go well. But
But maybe the perception of Denver is maybe looked at incorrectly just because they have the best player in the world. Because remember, the Denver Nuggets, or at least this version of them, they have yet
mm,
to be a 50-win team in the playoffs. So although they win a championship in 2023, remember we
yeah,
discussed this last year, like they didn't necessarily beat the top of the top echelon of teams when it came to like record wise in the regular season and stuff like that. So maybe they're just kind of getting exposed to kind of what they were, and then when they're those little rope because I get it. KCP, Bruce Brown, Reggie Jackson, and Jeff Green. I get it. Like they were a very important role players to that championship team, but I don't think like they still have their championship core, and you should be able to just plug in like maybe little role players here and there to kind of maybe at least get back to there. But they didn't even get past the second round last year, and after losing what they were down, sorry, they're up 20 points on Game 7 against the Minnesota Timberwolves and gave it up. Like I just think maybe this is what the Denver Nuggets are, even though they have the best player in the world.